The meeting to order. Appreciate everybody being here. We will start with the consent agenda. Item 2, all of the following items, which concern reports and items of routine nature normally approved by AHA meetings, will be approved by one vote, unless any trustees desire to have a separate vote on any or all of the items. Consent agenda consists of discussion, consideration, and action on the following items. A, the minutes of the regular trustee meeting on February 25th, 2025. B, the Finance Committee minutes. And C, the check report, February 9th, 2025 to March 8th, 2025.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda, items A through C.
Whoops, turn my flashlight
I saw that.
instead of my... Thank you. I have a motion by Dr. Brown, second by Dr. Simon, to approve the consent agenda. Any questions, discussion? Roll call?
Martin?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes.
Burke?
Yes.
Simon?
Yes.
Mossberg?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Hannaford?
Yes. Item number 3, CEO's report. Candace?
All right. Clinics have remained busy. As Jason pointed out earlier in the Finance Committee today, revenue has been great for February, and Kelly will go over that here in a little bit. Nursing has been hosting LPN students. We're actually here today. Got a nice big group from the Career Tech. Radiology, I think we talked about maybe last time they were having their inspection. They had the mammography inspection at the last week of February. Carly's done a great job. She just had a couple things that she needed to fix, and they've got those things fixed and taken care of. We've had issues with all the wind having to go on divert because of the electrical issues. Causing issues with our CT scanners. So hopefully those days will be few and far between. Surgery is going great guns. They've been super busy and excited to see that. Dr. Guerra, the new general surgeon is getting busier, so it's good to see. You can see on our Know Before, that little colorful wheel down there. Employees are doing well with us challenging their IT security capabilities and phishing attacks. They challenge us all the time, so that's good. The Senior Life Solutions going well. They currently have 7 clients on service, and that looks good. If you'll remember, I know when you look at the financials, it shows a loss, but just please remember we knew that going in, that we would have to float that. Monthly, it's not going to show, likely it will not show positive numbers, but remembering that we get more money back on the cost report. That's the key to that program, is the balloon payment kind of at the end of the year that we'll get next year. So we are happy with how that's going. Other than that darn call light bed project interface is still nagging and causing issues, still not finished. We'll talk here in just a little bit about recruitment and with a family practice physician candidate. I believe we're going into an executive session at the end for that. And Kelly probably tell you about our wind damage that we sustained to our roof during that time too. That's all I have.
Any questions for Candace? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve and accept the Shared Medical Center written report for March 2025?
I move to approve the Shared Medical Center written report for March 2025.
Thank you, Dr. Simon. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Bowman. A motion by Dr. Simon, a second by Mr. Bowman to approve and accept the Shared Medical Center written report for March 2025. Roll call?
Bowman?
Yes.
Burke?
Yes.
Simon?
Yes.
Mossberg?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Hannaford?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Okay. Item 4, CFO's report. Kelly?
So February was a pretty good month. We did have
a couple issues that I'll go over with you, but in general, from a revenue standpoint, it was the highest revenue month we've had all year for gross revenue, and I think it's the second highest net revenue month that we've had all year. We finished the month of February with a cash balance of $132,688. We had accounts receivable. One of the issues we had during February was that there was a period of time where our 3M coding software was down, and so that caused a delay in some of our billing. But our AR balance also jumped up to $4.9 million. It's about almost an $850,000 increase versus January. And you can see that reflected in the gross AR days. We were up about 8 days, a little over 8 days compared to January as well, as far as getting the bills out and the unbilled as well as the third party. The unbilled went down, but the third party and self-pay billing went up. The accounts payable balance for February was $1,145,000. That was down about $5,700 from January, and Jaden and Kayla and I have really tried to stay on top of getting bills paid and trying to keep that number down. Again, we're hopeful that as we continue to get the supplemental payments that come in on a quarterly basis, that we'll keep getting that knocked down even further without having to hit the line of credit too much. Gross patient revenue for February was, like I said, the highest all year. It was $2,521,911, and that was an increase of $237,599 compared to January. Total patient days were 46, which was up compared to 37 in January, and clinic office visits were down slightly to 1,630 compared to 1,647, but remember January had more days than February, so the clinic visits, you would anticipate them being down. You should probably anticipate them being down a little bit more than 17 visits. Contractuals less bad debt and charity care were 37.5% of gross patient revenue. Net patient revenue was $1,370,646, and that was over a $560,000 increase versus January. We did have $58,773 written off to collection agency, which was a decrease from the prior month of about $111,000. I want to point out, because we talked about this in Finance Committee, when you look at the income statement and you look at the bad debt and the reductions from revenue, that's a bad debt allowance. And that's a formula based on our revenue. And so it's never going to equal what we actually write off to the collection agency. Well, if it does, it'll just be coincidence. But that's an accounting principle that we follow at the advice of our auditors, to have that allowance on the income statement. But the actual bad debt write-off was the $58,000. Charity care totaled $20,000. I'll tell you, we are currently looking at our policies for charity care and revamping those, so we should see that come out in final version soon. Just trying to make sure that folks are accessing all the other resources that are available to them before we are giving away care. The hospital operating expenses, excluding salaries, benefits, and depreciation for February, were $663,821. That was about almost an $11,000 increase compared to January. Our salaries and wages were $534,000, and that was almost a $21,000 decrease from January. So after all that, the net operating income for February was $878,267, and the net total net income after sales tax and non-operating revenue was $980,879. Now, significant in there is that we did receive $690,000 with our cost report settlement. We also received $94,000 that should have came in January as Medicaid incentive payment or SHOP payment. And so those had a tremendous impact on the month and also on the year. And in the tables there in the bottom third of our report, you can see our year-to-date net income is $862,559. At this point in the year, we had budgeted to have a net income of $248, so we're over $600,000 better than what we budgeted. And then compared to last year, we are about $840,000 better than where we were last year, year-to-date. With that, big payment from the cost report settlement, we will see that. Hopefully not, but we anticipate that year-to-date net income will probably go down as we get further into the year, just because we won't have that big payment. Hopefully not. We like to be in the black. We had all but one of the departments met their budget goals for the month of February, so that was great. All of our revenue departments met their budget goals, and 6 out of the 10, we don't budget for all of them to be in the black, but we need them to help make up for our overhead. But 6 of the 10 were actually in the black, and so that was good. Candace mentioned Senior Life Services has had a good month as well. They had a net loss of about $9,500, which is getting pretty close to what we expect that to be on a regular basis. And then, like Candace said, we'll make up that gap on the tail end with the cost report settlement next year. You can kind of see some of the other things in there. Nursing, ER, lab, they all had good months as well. You can see the 6-month comparison on the next page. Clearly, we expect that when we get our cost report settlement, the net is going to be better than any of the other months, and it was. So that was good. And then you can see our other expenses. I will point out that on employee recruitment, there was a invoice. Now I can't remember what it was for. We talked about it in Finance Committee. But there was a $17,000 invoice that got reversed in the month of February. And so
It was just a typo. It's supposed to be like $1,500 per month.
well, the 17,000 negative by reversing the invoice, plus the 1,500 that is our normal, as a routine invoice. There were 2 separate vendors, but anyway, one of those was given to us in error, so we reversed that out in February. So that's why that's a negative number. But other than that, the other expenses we're right on track with where we expect them to be as well. And we talked about the year-over-year comparison, but you can see the 3-year comparison there. And if you go from 23 to 24 to 25, 24 was better than 23, and 25 better even yet. And so we hope to keep going in that direction, because we did have, like Candace mentioned, we did have some roof damage with the high winds. Not the new roof that we put on. I know you guys will remember that we approved replacing part of the roof last summer. That was the section that was basically over med-surg. There's divider kind of walls up on the roof, and so there's basically 3 sections to the original hospital, and then there's another 2 sections for the new addition. But it's going to be the roof that is over physical therapy, surgery, commons area, and then they're over the elevator, some of it, so back about that far. But that area of the roof in the wind became separated, the membrane became separated from the insulation. And so we are going to have to get that section of the roof replaced as well. I don't have quotes yet, but we're getting quotes, and I'm anticipating that that's going to be, it's a bigger section of roof than the last one we did, so I am anticipating that it's going to be probably significantly more this time than it was last time when we repaired the roof. So, but
Would we be able to get anything from the insurance from the damage that we have?
Well,
Probably past.
we pay 2% deductible on the total value of the property, so it's really,
Not gonna.
financially, it's not in our best interest unless we did have a total roof.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Any questions from the statistical report, financial reports, Kelly, or Eddie? Thank you. It's a great month, and we appreciate that. We will not be, we don't have to do B, so we'll skip B. So we will go to C, discussion and action to approve or disapprove the work order for full RCM outsourcing, amendment 4 to the agreement with Code Quick. Kelly?
so we've been having the conversation about changing our billing company for a while now. Code Quick is the company that that we feel like best meets our needs, both in terms of what their rates will be and in terms of service. We did have lengthy conversations many conversations with other hospitals and who they use and that sort of thing. We actually, Pratt had the most similar situation as us, with having been with the TrueBridge client and then transitioning away from TrueBridge to Code Quick. And so that was about as close to an apples-to-apples comparison as we felt like we were going to get in terms of having some confidence in putting this forward. There are a lot of billing companies out there. We talked to at least 3 of them to see, if they could meet our needs. So what you have in front of you is an agreement with Code Quick. We do currently have an agreement with Code Quick for coding. So this amends our current agreement, and it goes into the revenue cycle management side of things. We did, based on our experience the last 5 years, we did put some performance indicators with some out language in there that allows us to leave early if they're not meeting the performance indicators. Those are kind of outlined under Section 2 of the agreement on page 1. We have a great rate. We'll be going to a 3% rate with Code Quick versus our rate with TrueBridge was 4.69%. And that is what we pay them on the collections they have from our patient claims. So that's another improvement in how we structured this contract. The TrueBridge contract was based on all collections, whether it was related to patient care or not. So every dollar that came into Share Medical Center, whether that's with somebody donating money, whether that was cost report settlement, whether it was some other incentive payment, with TrueBridge, we were paying that percentage on all that. With Code Quick, we're only going to be paying based on patient claims. So that's a good deal for us. The contract there has got the entire scope of services in it. We will continue to use TrueBridge for their technology platform. So the RCM software, we've not had any issues with that. We've only had issues with the actual billing processes. So that's the same thing that Pratt did. Pratt had some great outcomes when they made the transition, and so we're hoping for the same. Drew's looked it over for legal, and I think this is ready for your approval.
Any questions for Kelly? Okay, hearing none, do I have a motion to approve or disapprove the work order for full RCM outsourcing amendment 4 to the agreement with Code Quick?
I so moved.
Okay, I have a motion by Dr. Brown. Do I have a second?
Second.
have a second by Mr. Martin. Any other questions, concerns? Okay, roll call.
Burke,
Yes.
Simon,
Yes.
Mossberg,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Hannaford,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Bowman.
Yes.
All right, item 5, our medical staff executive committee. We've got the agenda and minutes review. Anybody has any questions, I think, from that? Talk to Dr. Burke. But hearing none, we'll move forward. And I'll kind of go through this and then let Dr. Burke explain and maybe ask if there's any questions. But the following items from 5B and 5D will be approved or disapproved by one vote only, unless any member desires to have a separate vote on any or all of the following items. A is approve or disapprove to discontinue in-house testing of CK-MB, which will let us tell what that is. C, the approval or disapproval to discontinue in-house testing of Fitoin. And D, the approval or disapproval to change the hemoglobin panic value to 7G-D also.
Grams per deciliter.
Yeah, I said he was going to explain all this, so.
So I'll address B and C together. Basically, we do in-house testing a lot of times to get tests back immediately, so that we don't have to send them off and wait 2 or 3 days to get them back. That's very important in the emergency room, especially. And there's a couple of tests that we've been doing very few of that cost us a lot of money, and if we sent them off to DLO, it would cost us very little money. And so all the clinicians talked at medical staff meeting about whether or not these are tests that we can go ahead and send off and that we don't really need the results stat. The CK-MB is an old cardiac enzyme that we used to use for patients that came in with chest pain to see if they were having heart attacks. And that's becoming more obsolete. They have something called troponin that we use more now than CK-MB. So if you look back in my section, it kind of gives a breakdown. Last year we did 28 CK-MB tests. It cost $2,286.97 for us to do the test in-house. If we had sent it to DLO, it would have been $112. C is the phenytoin, which is seizure medication. And most of the time, when patients come to the ER, we really don't, if they're on this medication for seizures, it's not that important that we get a stat result on the level. Last year we only did 15, and it cost Share Medical Center $687.75, and if we had sent it off to DLO and got the results within 2 or 3 days, it would have been $165. So the medical staff concluded that those are 2 tests that we can probably ship out and send them out instead of doing them in-house, and save some money there. And then on D has to do with calling on panic values. So if the lab does whatever blood test, there's certain levels of testing that require immediate attention, and those are called panic values. And up until recently, well, up until now, it's for hemoglobin, which is the amount of red blood cells that you have. The panic level's been less than 8, and we're proposing to go to less than 7 because that's more standard of care these days. So we're just trying to catch up with the times, so to speak, and make things a little more streamlined. Usually when there's a panic value, the doctor that ordered the test gets a call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so lowering that to the standard of care these days down to 7 is going to take some load off the lab, and they won't have to call as much.
Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, do I have a motion?
I move items B through D in section 5.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Burke. I have a motion by Dr. Brown and a second by Dr. Burke to approve items 5B through 5D as listed. Roll call?
Simon?
Yes.
Mossberg?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Hannaford?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes.
Burke?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for your report. Moving on to item 6, the improvement to patient care. Candace, Kelly, you guys want to cover a contract review, quality evaluation? Anything that you want to?
No, it
Touch upon.
looks like one contract got reassigned to Reese. Really just updates to the contract review. Did we miss copies on there?
That's, I was going to ask.
Is it not on there?
No, I don't see it.
Okay, we need to put copy on there for next month to get.
Catch both of them.
Yeah, catch it next month.
Okay, any questions for Candace on that? If not, we will move to the following items from 6B to 6E, our routine policies and procedures. They will be approved or disapproved by one vote unless any member desires to have a separate vote on any or all of the following items. B is the discussion and action to approve or disapprove the revisions report dated February 28, 2025. Item C is the approval or disapproval of the triage tryptophan procedure that Dr. Burke talked about. D is the approval or disapproval of the infection control annual hospital risk assessment 2025. And E is the approval or disapproval of Oklahoma Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics Manual. Anything you guys want to talk about? Any questions by any board members? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
I move to approve inpatient care items B through E.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Dr. Simon, a second by Mr. Bowman to approve items 6B through 6E for improvement to patient care as listed. Roll call?
Mossberg?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Hannaford?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes.
Burke?
Yes.
Simon?
Yes.
Okay, moving on to item 7, shared convalescent home report.
This will be brief. If you'll see in your packet, there are still financial statements with the nursing home. Right now, we are between Adam and I and the state Medicaid office trying to get the Medicaid payments going to their account. Right now, they're still going to our account. And so we're showing that as revenue and then reduction of revenue on the income statement. We also had our last invoice with McAfee and Taft for the legal work with the sale transaction. So that's in there. There's some other things that we're getting cleaned up, but for the most part, it's pretty well wrapping up.
Any questions? Thank you, Kelly. Moving on to homestead report.
Homestead had another average month. We had $85,402 in revenue. We did have also $77,802 in expenses. Again, nothing terribly unusual about any of that. Came in with a net income of $7,600. The one thing I'll point out that we will start to notice is that we did, Woods County has gone with a different vendor for their jail meal service, and so we won't be seeing that revenue on our income statement moving forward.
Is census steady up?
Census is up a little bit. They have tended to have more people moving in than moving out, so it's been growing at a steady pace.
Good. Any other questions on the homestead financial statements or report? I'm sorry, 9, foundation report.
The foundation, Alva Hospital Authority scholarship applications have been filled out, turned in. May 1st is, I believe, the awards assembly, maybe? You don't know.
I don't know my calendar, not here.
But we'll be working with the foundation board to choose our scholarship recipients. And we did receive 9 from 3 different high schools. So.
Okay, questions for Kelly on foundation? 10, I don't believe we have a St. Anthony's report. 11, city council report. Mr. Coleman.
Okay, it'll be pretty short. We worked on the ordinances for the trash can placements from the new company. We hired Crawford and Associates for accounting and consulting for 25, 26 years. We put 3 vehicles on surplus, and the ambulance service is carried over for another month. And that's about it, other than routine business.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Bowman? I have one. Can you remind, I know I have it on my calendar, but when we vote for city council members, when is that?
April 1st.
April 1st, so
What
everybody,
people will say.
please put that on the calendar and make sure you get out and vote, so. AHA Chairman's Report. One, I just want to basically thank Candace, Kelly, Jaden, everybody, all the staff. Finance Committee's really asked them to kind of dig into a lot of things, and they've done a good job of cleaning up, and the recommendations with the billing, and I don't know if you mentioned it or not, but the 340B continues. I think we've kind of gotten that cycle figured out, and we are getting more revenue kind of where we thought we should be, and that's just a lot of hard work on their part. So
I'll second that.
appreciate that. Okay. Please don't ask me any questions because I don't know if I could answer anymore. So 13, discussion and action to enter into executive session according to 37 section 307B1 to discuss physicians contract negotiations. Do I have a motion to enter into executive session?
I move to enter into executive session according to the terms listed.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Simon. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Bowman, I have a motion by Dr. Simon, a second by Mr. Bowman to enter into executive session to discuss physicians contract negotiations. Roll call?
Brown,
Yes.
Hannaford,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Bowman,
Yes.
Burke,
Yes.
Simon.
Yes.
Mossberg.